GM the producer.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Impact. I'm your host, Big Chuck, and tonight we have a very special guest. We're gonna talk to the backbone of this whole operation, right? But before we do that, if there's anybody out there who just tuned in today, I definitely want to let people know what it is Filthy Rags does and who we are. And so who we are is we're a faith-based organization. We're Filthy Rags Outreach. We're a faith-based organization. And our job is gang prevention and intervention. And we're inside the prison system right now. We're literally behind the wire, on the wire. We're working inside the prisons, man, to stop gang violence, but also, man, to help the guys that are in this, that are in gangs, to be able to come out of gangs, because not everybody that's in it wants to be in it or wants to stay in it. And so what we do is we provide a safe space, man, for people to one, grow, two, heal, and three, transition. But the whole time, our main goal is to lead each and every person that we come across to Christ, right? And so that's who we are. That's what we do. But none of the things that we do could be possible without this person. You know how you might hear in your life that, behind every strong man, there's a strong woman, right? Well, behind 4 strong men, there's a strong woman. She is our organizer. She keeps us straight. She organizes events, man. She's a photographer. She's a mother. Oh my goodness, I can't even name all the things that she does, but she is a phenomenal woman. And most importantly, she's a woman of God. She works hard at what she does, man. She works hard for us. She works hard for her family. And tonight we're going to talk to the backbone of Filthy Rags Outreach, Miss Jessica Champion. Jess, man, what's up?
I'm playing with this little thing. You hear that? I got to do it one more time.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we got a round of applause. That's what I'm talking about. That's what's up with you, man. How you doing tonight?
I'm good.
Listen, so for everybody that's been listening, absolutely. That's the least I could do with all the stuff you do for us. So for anybody that's been listening, normally you hear Jessica at the end when she talks about all of our promos and the things that we got going on. But tonight she's our focus. She's our focus, because we want everybody to know exactly who Jessica is. Because, like we've talked about multiple times, Jessica has a story, and Jessica's like, I'm just not some little white girl out there. I got a story too. So, and I was like, you're white? Just messing with her stuff. But tonight we're going to get into, exactly who Jessica Champion is. So who is Jessica Champion? Let's start there. Who are you?
I'm gonna say, actually, professionally, especially in this field, I'm going by Jessica Justice. So let me just clear that up.
Okay, Jessica Justice. All right.
Yeah. That's my maiden name. That's some that we talked about just being, and just for clarification, if anybody doesn't know, yes, my husband is incarcerated and works with Filthy Rags Outreach, but I don't want that to be the focus. And really behind that is, I don't want to be viewed at, that's just his wife. It's, I have a passion for what I do as well, and what I do for Filthy Rags Outreach, and I don't want that to be overshadowed by, that's just, his wife. So that's why I go by Jessica Justice. I know everybody knows in the organization, everybody knows that I'm, married to him, but just, just wanted to clear that up a little bit.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to get to that later, but okay.
Oh.
Okay, well then, let's talk about it. Okay, so who is Jessica Justice then?
Who am I? Man, you're going to have to ask me a more specific question than that. I'm a lot of things. Like you said, I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I do photography. Yes, I'm a photographer. Not professionally trained, but have passion for it. website designer, content creator, graphic designer. I went to beauty school. I work as a housing case manager. I'm a peer counselor. I am a recovery coach.
Okay.
A lot of things.
So,
Woman of God.
so with the so 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 with the list of things that you just named off, one jumped out to me, right? And you say you're a recovery coach.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into the field? How did you get into the field of being a recovery coach? Like, how did that come about?
Okay, well, I guess we putting it out there.
Yes, just the impact. You know, we making an impact, man. Come on, man. You know what time it
is. So yes, I am a recovery coach, and that stems from you know, me and my story. I do have some substance issues in my past. I have been clean for a while now, some years, and you know, I guess I could back up. You know, when I was in my youth, and this is probably like what 2010, 2011. I did some stupid things. I actually stole something. I don't really want to get into the details of that. It's not really important, but I got charged. Right. I got charged with first-degree theft and first-degree trafficking of stolen property. It was over $10,000 value. I pawned it. Got caught, you know, and when you're in mainline, or they call it mainstream court, you know, it's either you take this charge, you do your time, or whatever. And for me, my story was a little different because, you know, that's my first crime ever, like, or, you know, my first time, you know, being involved with the justice system or anything like that. And because I knew that I had a problem with pain pills. I mean, to be quite honest. And I didn't. I knew where my life was headed at that point because I'd been thinking about it for a time. I'm like, this is not me. This is not me. What am I doing? So that, you know, getting charged with those two charges really kind of woke me up. And then I heard from somebody that was also in treatment with me that there was an option for me to go to drug court. I had never heard of drug court before. So I talked to my lawyer and got into drug court. Ended up completing drug court in 14 months, graduated drug court, got my 2 felony charges dismissed, I guess with prejudice. I don't know if that means anything, but graduated drug court. And then
that means a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know what it means, but I just know that it's dismissed. It's not on my record. But I stayed connected with the drug court community. You know, I kept getting emails from drug court with opportunities to attend graduations and events for alumni and things like that. And there was one email in particular that caught my eye, and it was an opportunity to work with people who are currently in drug court. Kind of as a coach, I guess, you know, walking them through the process, being somebody that was clean and sober. And I always knew that there was some reason why I had gone through that, you know, and this is years later. This is, this email I got was actually it was in 2020 when I got the email, and I was like, I want to do this. You know, there's a reason why I went through that, and I want to be able to share my story and help others going through that process. So I applied and they accepted me, and I took a week-long class and ended up being certified as a recovery coach, and started working with participants in King County Drug Court, helping them through their drug court process, which also led me to becoming a certified peer counselor. But that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, that's what got me into it. Kind of summarized, there's a whole lot, you know, to unpack with that story. Probably, you know, go into that a later time.
Absolutely. Oh, this might be your first time, but this ain't gonna be your last. So listen. So what's interesting about your story, the reason I asked about that, right, is because so what led me to prison is also substance abuse, right? And but I didn't know about any type of, you know, counselors or recovery coaches or anything like that. Like my sobering experience was getting arrested and then being sentenced to 25 years in prison for my very first crime ever. Like that was a sobering experience for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so and and so for you to be able to go back and to coach people through it, I think it's really important. It's really important, right? Because like I often always say, man, there's always somebody out there who's going through something and they're things that maybe nobody understands. So you sharing your story with them and then being able to have somebody to walk through that process with them, I think that's an amazing thing. So kudos for what you do.
Yeah.
Kudos for
Thank
what you
you.
do.
It was really
Kudos for what you do. Like
catalyst to get
absolutely,
me involved in the work that I'm doing right now. That's what really
that
got
is
was a
extremely
jump
awesome
off.
thing. Yeah. Absolutely. So listen. So I know your husband. I know you don't want this to overshadow anything, but I know your husband. That's my partner right there.
Yeah.
That's my guy, right? But he's also my brother in Christ.
Yes.
And I know he's been walking with the Lord for a long time. So what I'm going to ask you, what made you come to the Lord? And how long have you been walking with the Lord?
Oh man. So that's another story.
Come on, listen. That's what we're doing. We're telling stories right now.
Yeah.
We want to know who you are, Jessica.
Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up in church, to be quite honest.
Okay.
The first memory I have in church is my family all coming together for my dedication. I think I was like 2 or 3 years old, and I was so excited that like all my family that normally wasn't at church, and I knew it was special. I knew it was a special day because the family that was there that day wasn't normally at church. But I remember like wanting to be passed back and forth, between all my family members. So I kept saying, they were all holding me. And I just remember that I was probably like 2. It was just really impactful at that moment. And then I remember being up on the stage and I can't remember who was holding me, but they passed me over to the pastor and the pastor prayed over me. And I remember that. I remember my actual dedication to the Lord when I was like 2. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I've been in church my whole life. I was raised as a Christian. We went to a non-denominational, but I believe it had a lot of Pentecostal themes, or I don't know how that works, but it was non-denominational.
Pentecostal roots.
Yep, there you go.
Pentecostal roots. Yep. Absolutely.
Speaking in tongues and all that. I remember, in church, we'd be, doing praise and worship, and this lady would start speaking in tongues, and then there'd be somebody that would interpret what she said and all that. So like I grew up with all that. And this was at a predominantly white church too. Now the church,
absolutely.
And shout out to Church by the Side of the Road. That's the church I'm talking about in Tukwila, right on Pack Highway. But that's a church that I grew up in, and I could still go back today and know a bunch of people. I walk in and I know a lot of people. It's changed quite a bit now, but also shout out to Pastor Proctor.
That's your home base.
That'll always be home. I'll always walk in and feel welcome. I'll always walk in and know somebody, So because there's a lot of people there that have been there for years and years and years. But so anyways, I grew up in church. As a teenager, you have your ups and downs. I was really on fire. Absolutely. As a preteen. I was going to church camps and youth group and all that stuff, which I really enjoyed. I think probably mostly for being around, getting to go around friends and things like that. But I think I think my first like real true experience happened I guess with the Lord when I was pregnant with my daughter. No, I had already had her. And God was convicting me. I was pretty much a single mother. I wasn't married. My daughter's dad wasn't around, and I had driven to the store that night, and I always liked and I still do listen to Christian radio station, Christian music. And there was this lady on the radio named Delilah, and she was talking, asking if anybody needed prayer. And I know I had been going to this church. I was living in Kent, and had been going to this church. They had their church service on Saturday nights because they were just, renting the building or whatever. It was a really powerful. It was a Foursquare church, and I just remember it just being full of love, and the people there just, it was just, yeah. So anyways, God was really working in my heart at that time, and my daughter was really young, and I remember listening to Delilah, and God kept telling me, like, basically you can't be having sex before marriage, really. That was what he was
absolutely.
convicting me of. I had a young daughter,
Yeah.
and that was probably my first real, I don't know, conviction, where God was really
Yeah.
convicting me of my sins. I would always have these, you know, times where I would be more connected with God, and, more being able to talk to him, but then sometimes it's easier to ignore him. I know I'm doing this
Mhm.
over here, but I don't want to listen to what God's telling me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I
Yeah.
still, even from that point, I still had a few little back and forths with God. And I think, as all Christians, sometimes you do question, right? But
Yeah.
if you're not in your word, and you're not praying, and you're not actually in a relationship with your creator, that,
Mhm.
it gives the devil an opportunity to come in and plant seeds of doubt in your mind.
Absolutely.
So then you start
Absolutely.
thinking,
Absolutely, he does.
oh, it's not really real. It's, he God doesn't exist. So, like, there's been periods. It's been up and down my whole life, but I
Yeah.
would say probably the last, mm, probably last 4 years really have
Yeah.
been, um me
The
really
most.
wanting, yeah, my most powerful, um, connection with the Lord has been in the last 4 years, because,
Yeah.
um, I just know he's there. There's no denying it. Even me going through that whole drug court process, even me,
Mhm.
like, through that whole process, I was homeless, uh, but but
Yeah.
but God always, always made sure I had a roof over my head. I was never on the streets with my kids. We always
Yeah.
had some place, right?
Yeah.
And, and me being scared, a single mother, I couldn't, I had
Mhm.
betrayed my family.
You have 1
Um,
minute left.
God always made a way. And
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, I don't know. That's a whole bunch. It's not really like one specific, hey, this is when, but
Yeah. So
there's a whole
listen.
lot to that.
Of course, that lady just showed up. So
Yeah.
listen, everybody, just hold on. I'll be right back. We will be right back. Just don't don't change the station. Don't turn it off. We're not going anywhere. It's going to take us about 40 seconds. We'll be right back. All right.
All right.
The caller has hung up.
Hey, hey, everybody, we're back. We're back. Again, this is The Impact. I'm your boy, Big Chuck, and tonight we're talking to Jessica Champion. So listen, Jess, during the little break, some things came to me, right? And first, right, the Word of God says to train up a child in the way he should go, and they shall not depart from it. So it's pretty clear that you were always going to return. We're always going to return to the Lord. We're always going to return to the Lord because the word of God is true. And the word and God said that I am not a man that I should lie. So we're always going to return. Now, the road or the path that we take on our way back to the Lord is completely up to us. Second, when you were homeless and the Lord was always taking care of you, making sure that you and your daughter always had a roof over your head, Jesus says in Matthew, he says that I will never leave you nor forsake you. He'll never leave you. He'll never forget about you. He's always going to take care of us. And that's just, man, that's just a confirmation that, that God is really, really working for us. He's working for us, man. He's really, I listened to Creflo Dollar this morning, and I only caught the last 10 minutes of this show. I just happened to turn my TV on for a second because I was actually trying to catch a different pastor, and I heard Creflo Dollar, and he talked about something today, right? He said when Jesus went to the cross, not only did he do something for us, but he also did something for God. And what he did, and I was like, okay, now where is he going with this one? And he said what he did for God was he allows God to love us righteously. And what that means is that when we are in our sin and we're being disobedient, the Father, he sees us through Christ. Because Christ, when he went to the cross, he paid for our sin. For each and every thing that we do, he paid for all of our sin. He paid for our disobedience. He paid for that. And that is the grace of God. Mm. So sometimes we're living in the grace of God because people will tell you that that God's grace is unmerited favor. And that's unmerited favor. So the Father's always looking at us in love. He's always looking at us in love. He's always seeing us in Christ. And so that just came to me when you were talking about what you were going through. When you were out there and when you were, making your turn to come back to the Lord, that was an amazing thing right there. So yes, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. When I was out there, you talk about, being able to raise up a child and they'll always return to the Lord. That's definitely true. When I'm in my studies and a lot of the Psalms, when I read them, or Proverbs, they bring up these old hymns that I used to just every Sunday, these hymns would be, drilled into your brain. And so when I read the Bible, I'll start singing a song that I had forgotten about, but it's in there.
Absolutely. It comes back. Mm-hmm. It comes back. You know what? So look, I just thought about this. So speaking about the dedication when you was a little girl, so I remember when my youngest daughter was born, right? Mm-hmm. We took her to church. We were getting her christened. And when you were talking about people who show up in church and normally don't ever go to church, I remember I called my uncle, right? And so my uncle, he says, man, I don't know, man. I don't know. I said, listen, man, I need you to be there, man. I need your support right now. I need you to come do this for me, man. Your niece is about to get, christened. So my uncle never goes to church, never does nothing. So my uncle, being who he is, and I love him, my Uncle Cornell, he just shows up with some random chick at church. He's like, man, I sure hope I don't catch on fire when I walk in here. I said, man, listen, I don't care what you catch on. We got some holy water, man. We'll throw it on you and push you out, but I'm gonna need you to be in this seat. You hear me? Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, absolutely. And man, so let's talk a little bit about filthy rags, right? Yes. Filthy rags, life work, at least for me, right? And it's so important, man. It's so important because the reason I love filthy rags is because it allows people to understand that one, you're not alone, and two, somebody cares.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing, man. People have to understand that, man, somebody cares, and that somebody understands that, that they're not alone in this thing. But it's also amazing because we get to expose all of the falseness of what the enemy is showing people. All the things that all the tricks and the trade that he said, oh, listen, if you do this, you can have this right now. And that's why we have people doing the things that they do. And, joining the gangs and living the lifestyle that they live because they think that it's all gonna come to something wonderful, but really it doesn't. And so I'm always in the business of uprooting the enemy's camp. I'm always in that business right there, right? So what I'm gonna ask you is this: when you had an opportunity to join Filthy Rags, right? What was it about Filthy Rags when you learned about it? What was it that made you say, "Hey, yo, listen, I have to do this. I have to be a part of this. Like this is something I want to be a part of." Right? And then once you said, "I want to be a part of it," like what made you just go in like you do?
Oh man. Well, to be quite honest with you,
Yeah.
I got started because with Filthy Rags because of my
Mhm.
husband, you know,
Okay. Yeah.
who, was somebody that I was just talking to at the time. It was like I wanted to be able to be helpful for him because I believed in what he was doing and I believed in the work that
Yeah.
he was doing. So I wanted to be
Mhm.
able to support him by doing whatever I could out here to support him in there. Right.
Yeah.
And by doing that work and being exposed to and learning more about the work that you guys are doing in there, I started seeing how important it was. I'd hear stories about, you guys sitting down with somebody and talking with them or, them being able to pour into them. And I kind of relate it to like almost like a sponsor type of thing. I've never obviously
Mhm.
never been in a gang. I know that you've never been
Yeah.
in a gang, but it's more than
Yeah.
that, right? It's about
Yeah.
sharing life with people. That's what Fonz always as talks about. Alfonso Bell, shout out to our founder.
Yeah.
He always
Yeah.
talks about that. It's like being able to relate to somebody and live life with somebody. It's about relationships, right? And
Yeah.
the way I kind of see it as like somebody who's been through that lifestyle, right? Somebody that's been there and has come out on the other side and realizes, man, I don't want to do that. I don't think anybody should do that. Like it's, all the different things, right? You could relate it to somebody being a sponsor, like
Yeah.
walking somebody through that, helping them realize, like, hey, there's something on the other side. Where does that path
Absolutely.
lead? That path
Like
leads
you
to
really have
death and
options.
destruction, right?
Yeah. You really have options in this thing, man. Yeah.
So
Go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I wanted to be able to support the work that he was doing, and then once I got involved and realized like, hey, I can make an impact, you know, it just really made me feel like, okay, I started seeing the vision of what Filthy Rags Outreach could be. I started seeing
Mhm.
like, hey man, we could have a reentry branch, and this is all I didn't come up with
Yeah.
all these things, but I just started seeing the vision, right? Well, we could have, people out here who have re-entered society that could, walk alongside of men coming out of prison and help them, connect them with
Mhm.
resources. And so then, and it's crazy because this, doing the work with Filthy Rags Outreach and also my work as a recovery coach and then a peer counselor
Yeah.
ties into this work because it's like, okay, now I want to learn everything I can about case management, about, connecting people with resources. How do we get funding to be able to do this? How do, so my back end is more from the perspective of like a case manager type of thing. Like, how do we set this up
Absolutely.
to wrap around these guys that are coming out with services and support? I leave the mentoring to you guys. You guys know how to do that. But for me,
Yeah.
okay, how do we build a network of people around here that can help these guys come out and have a soft landing to where they're not out here, don't know, somebody's been in prison for 20 years, doesn't know how to work a cell phone. Like technology's changed so much, right? What are the
Absolutely.
resources out here? It's hard to get connected with resources anyways, but coming out of prison, you know, not knowing what's out here and you know what I mean? You almost need
Yeah.
somebody to walk alongside of you. And I saw that and I'm like, okay, I
Yeah.
believe in this. This is needed and I can help. This is something that I could directly get involved in. And so now that now that I'm involved, I'm thinking, well, I need to learn more. And so I start
Yeah.
researching up opportunities for jobs that I could get involved in this work so I can learn everything that I
Yeah.
can do. I can learn case management. I can learn how nonprofits work. I can learn how they connect with and just take all of that information in and everything that I've
Mhm.
learned and bring it back to Fro. That
Yeah.
was really my real goal in getting into the work that I do now, professionally. You know, I work as a
Yeah.
housing case manager. It's or a housing. It's
Mhm.
my technical term is I'm a clinical support specialist, but basically it's a housing case manager.
Okay.
I'm helping people in housing maintain and retain their housing. Maybe somebody that's been
Yeah.
homeless, right? That don't know how to
Yeah.
maintain a unit or an apartment or don't know, you know, how like your sink breaks. I've got a lot of people that have been homeless. They just leave their sink broken. They don't know, hey, I
Yeah.
need to call somebody and they'll fix it for me. There or, you know, maybe they've got mental health issues and, you know, it's just, you know, just walking
Yeah.
alongside of somebody from homelessness and helping them be able to maintain and retain their housing and get connected with
Yeah.
the um the community outside of them. So anyways, I say all that to say basically like I'm doing the work right now professionally also in tandem with the work I do for Filthy Rags Outreach and trying to bring my knowledge back into Filthy Rags Outreach so that Filthy Rags
And that's
Outreach can be
important, man,
successful.
because that's really important, and it's really good that you dive into it the way that you do, because we can get the guys in here and we start to work in here, but then once they leave us, like they're out there, right? And once they get out there, there has to be things in place for them.
Mhm.
If not, they'll just return. You know, we're creatures of habit. We'll just go back to what we know,
Yep.
right? Instead of being able to have the courage to kind of just stay this course, man, and to just trust that everything's gonna be okay. When things get to looking hard, when it's like, ah, man, I ain't got no money, but I know I can go over here and holler at the homie and get this from him. We're creatures
Mhm.
of habit, man. We tend to do what we know, even if what we know is chaos. Sometimes we as people find comfort in chaos
I was just getting ready to
because,
say that it's comfort. It's what you know.
yeah,
It's hard to
you know,
step outside of the box and make a different choice.
absolutely,
And
absolutely,
that's another
absolutely.
reason why I think, you know, you guys coming alongside of other guys that, you know, maybe can't they have to be able to see themselves in you in order for them to feel like,
hmm
"Oh, I can do this." And that's really I feel like what you guys do in there, you know, especially like
That's
yeah. Go ahead.
that's our that's our you know. So with the core members in here, our one thing that we all say is we will always be transparent. We'll always be honest. We'll share our victories. We'll share our failures. We'll share our everything
Yep.
because people have to be able to to see. Like I haven't always been who I am now. You know what I mean? Like it took work to get here, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I cannot lie to you and say, oh man, this is easy. I just woke up. No, I didn't wake up like this. It took building. It was hard. It was painful. You know, the Lord had to prune me and chisel me and shape me and form me and break me down and build me back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's work that goes into that. And I love what I do. I love what Filthy Rags does because I know how important it is for somebody to have somebody to walk beside them. Because I'm telling you right now, there's almost nothing better than see a cat from this gang, a cat from that gang, which are opposed, which they're enemies, and they come to a Filthy Rag meeting and they sit down and they begin to talk, and then they just see each other as people,
Yeah.
right? Forget about all of the affiliation. Forget about what it is you represent. Like, hey, this is a man just like me, and we literally have the same problems. We don't know. We don't know how to get back in contact with our kids. We don't know how to talk to our children's mother. We got this going on and that going on, and my mom is going through this, and you know, and we're all just people. We're all just trying to figure it out, right? And so it's really important what you do, and I wanted to highlight that because without you, we couldn't do this podcast.
Yeah.
We couldn't really do anything. We really couldn't. This wouldn't even be happening right now if it wasn't for you. Like I thank you. I thank you for being our backbone to this whole thing, man. I thank you for being our backbone to this thing. I really do. And so
I'm holding it down
I want to talk.
till we need some help.
Listen, man. Listen, help's on the way. I got a feeling right here. This is the one that's going to generate the help that we need. I got that feeling. I got a feeling this is the one that's going to generate the help that we need, right? So, what do you see the future of Filthy Rags looking like? What do you see the future looking like? Because I know we have amazing programs going on right now. We're closing the gap with Ellison Coaching Counseling. Shout out to Adair for really stepping in for us and doing some work. But where can Jessica see it going?
Man, I mean, how far in the future are we painting? I mean, I feel like we can, have, maybe a bunch of houses, reentry houses where
Mm-hmm.
guys can come out and land at a what Fonz calls ragtop housing, right? They can come out and have a place to go when they get out of prison with peers surrounding them that are all going through that same process, mentors, guys that have come out, former gang members that can come alongside and just walk people through the process of reentering society. We can train them up, get them plugged in, and turn them into mentors themselves. Going into the juveniles, I feel like we have potential to be able to hit up and go into every single juvenile facility in, I wouldn't well, potentially the whole country, but I mean, for now, I feel like, at least the ones in King and Pierce County. We got Raymond Hall, we got Green Hill. I know there's a bunch more, but besides the one we're already connected with, Patricia H. Clark Detention Center. Like, I feel like going into all those facilities, working with the youth in there to try to steer them away from what they're involved in. If they're involved in gangs or whatever, like, hey, pull them aside, connect, because they're going through what they're going through. Nobody joins a gang. They wake up every day. They've got a great home life. Their parents are involved in their lives. Their parents are stable. Wake up one day, oh, I'm going to go join a gang. No, they join a gang for many, many reasons. And some of those reasons are because there's a need there that's not being met. And I feel like Filthy Rags Outreach, by doing the work and going in and getting to know these kids and figuring out, like, hey, where's the need that needs to be met? Maybe their parents aren't there. Maybe their mom works 2 jobs and is never there to try to pay the bills, to put food on the table, and she's got like 3 kids or whatever the case may be. Going in and saying, hey, let's support this family so that that it can alleviate that. Or if there's a kid that's, man, I don't know. Like, there's just so much we can do.
Let's give these kids a shot at having a future.
Yeah, and keep them out of prison, get them out of gangs,
to fulfill some dreams, to be who you've always wanted to be. Because we as adults now, we always wanted to be something different when we were kids. You know what I mean? We always wanted to be something different. And choices that we made and roads that we went down in life have taken us on different journeys. But if we would have stayed the course,
you have 1 minute left.
To have the proper encouragement to continue to stay the course, and who's to say where we will be? Who's to say where we will be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who's to say where we will be? So listen. Don't turn it off yet. Give me 40 seconds. I'll be right back. All right. I'm calling right back.
All right.
All right. Okay, everybody, I'm back. So, yes, we are at that time. We are at that time where you guys would normally hear Jessica's voice, right? This is when you would normally hear Jessica's voice. So, Jess, let's tell them what it is, what we need, what we would like, and how they can help us.
Oh man. We definitely need some help. Administratively, we could use some help. We could use men that have maybe walked that life, men or women that have walked that life, that gang life, that street life, that, don't want to see the next generation go down that same road, want to prevent another young kid
Yeah,
from going to prison, prevent another kid from getting shot. Like all these things, we need men and women to come come join us so that they can help come alongside some kids to make a difference. Um, if you're involved in a nonprofit, you've got nonprofit experience, accounting experience, um, you want to make up some flyers for us. Like really, it could be one-time help. It could be, you want to join us and you really feel like you want to contribute to what we're doing. Like we need all kinds of help. Yeah, I mean that's what I would
so
say as far as the help that we need.
how can they contact you?
Well, if you're
Let's give them the
watching this,
contact information out there.
if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, you can definitely leave a comment on this podcast, and I'll message you, or you can go ahead and message us on Facebook. You can send me an email at jessica@filthyregsoutreach.org or info@filthyregsoutreach.org. Um, you can go to our website, www.filthyregsoutreach.org, and fill out the contact information on there. Send us a message through there. There's many different ways you can get in contact with us. Our phone number is 253-250-9687. You can give us a call or send me a text, and we will get back to you for sure.
Jessica, thank you. Thank you for being on here tonight. Thank you for continuing to make an impact. Thank you for all the work that you do for us, man, and with us, man, and everything that you do for anybody out there who needs some help. Thank you for having the heart of a servant. And thank you for having a strong back for carrying this load for us, man. Man, without you, man, we couldn't get done what we need done.
Well, it's
I want to thank everybody out there.
Honor.
Thank you. I wish I had some flowers to give you. I'll give you some flowers. I'll just pull up a whole bush and give it to you. You know what I mean? So listen, I want to thank everybody for tuning into the Impact this week. Listen, next Thursday, man, tune in again next Thursday at 8:00, man. I got a special guest. I'm not going to tell you who he is, but it's going to be an amazing, amazing journey. He's going to tell you about his journey, and we're going to do something really amazing. So I want you guys to tune in next week, man. And plus, we need you guys to support us, man. We need you guys to, listen, tell a friend. If you like what you heard, tell a friend. And if you didn't like it, tell a friend anyway, because they only get better. But on here, on the Impact, we make an impact by sharing our true life experience, man, with what we do, what we did, and what we're going through, and how we're becoming better people. And this is what people need to hear, and these are, people need to understand that just because a person's in prison doesn't mean that he's just sitting here vegging out. Like, we're really making strides, man, to change, and we're trying to change the nature of prison, man, and because we want to change men in here to affect change out there. So again, thank you for tuning into the Impact, and I'll see you guys next Thursday, 8:00. Don't be late.